Hello and welcome to Jeremy's Yorkshire allotment adventures on what is still a windy day. It's quite brisk here, but the sun's out and it's feeling a lot warmer. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's show. It's a mixture of looking at some seeds, looking to see how the seedlings are going, and also we'll take a look at the contents of this table because we're looking at the things that can go into your compost bin from now on. And well, I hope you enjoy the journey today. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to all the new subscribers. So sit back, put your feet up, get a cuppa and enjoy today's show. So I thought I'd talk about all things compost. How do you make your own compost? Well, of course, you can start off by, if you've got lawns and grass, using your grass cuttings. You can also put on leaves, but don't put too much on because otherwise it becomes leaf mold. I've got a separate pile for all my leaves and they can rot down nicely. They're very good at mulching, actually, leaves. You can put them on top of the surface. So obviously retain the moisture in the surface. And so that's very good. But if you want to make compost, well, it's a matter of choosing anything that you like, really. So as long as it's sort of organic, and I say sort of organic because you can put things out of your tumble dryer, for example. So in this little box here, let me move out my little bits of cardboard and paper. I have all the lint from the tumble dryers, and well, that's really useful stuff. Break it down, as I say. Don't put it in as a big clump. Try and break it down within, and that'll add nice organic matter to that. And then of course you can put, well, old tissues if you like. Lots and lots of paper is also very good. And again, try and tear it up into smaller pieces. It will rot down eventually, but the smaller you can get whatever you put onto your compost heap, the better that you'll end up being. Now, as far as foodstuff's concerned, you can almost put anything, all your cuttings out of your kitchen you can put on. And don't forget your tea bags, your coffee grounds, and any sort of vegetable matter. You can put eggshells on, but remember with the eggshells, you must cook them first. Stick them in the oven, and so the whites are really well cooked, and then you're not transferring anything that will attract rodents into your compost heap. And obviously put tea bags on, that'll keep things away as well. Banana peel, orange peel, citrus, any peels can go on. Again, make them into smaller pieces. Now, can you put hardwoods on? Well, of course you can. Now, this is very interesting. This has been on my compost heap, and I'll take a photograph. This end, the cut end, has been, actually, it was stuck upright, I didn't realise. And so that has actually been in moisture. And it started to grow again. And it started to bud. Even though it's a dying, or was, it's even got, so I could probably stick that in, I might get a new plant. But that's obviously too big to go on the compost heap. It needs to be chopped down into nice little pieces. If you haven't got a shredder, I'm very lucky here, I've got an electric shredder and it will go through that like nothing, a bit like butter. Shove it in, get lovely little chip-ins. Now, you don't necessarily need that, just get your secateurs and cut as small as you can, and that will eventually break down, because of course you want your compost to have lots of air in it, and this helps actually because it will separate all the mounds that go together. So I put that down there. An example of not chopping down, this is my well, sprout plant, and these are so strong, and so these will go through the shredder, because even now it's really hard and it's still green. It's been there since the end of January, so what's that, about 3 months, and it's not actually yet started to rot down at all. The roots are still getting moisture from the air when it rains, and so it's keeping it sort of alive. Again, that needs chopping down as much as you can do it into smaller pieces. Pop that down there too. Now, other things you can put on, of course, you can put cardboard on, but again, it's like the paper. Take your cardboard and rip it up into really small pieces and pop it on to the, now if you can, and it is difficult I know at times, like this here, it has a piece of plastic. Try and take those off if you can. Even the labels have got sticky on the back. They will decompose, but you don't really want that. So if you can, I know it's laborious, it's time consuming, but look, try and get as much of that off as you can. And again, chop it down into little pieces, get your scissors at it, and have a go. If you've got some young kids around, it's fun cutting up cardboard, or even ripping up cardboard. They'll absolutely love that. So again, something else to put on the compost heap. And again, brown paper, once again, it's paper, it's good. Tear it up into little pieces. That's all we're saying. Now, here, I've got some organic matter from the rabbit. So here we have all of their litter tray, and that will go into, don't put litter trays from cats or dogs really, especially cats, because obviously they're eating meat and it'll come through them, and well, we don't want that on the allotment. Of course you can use anything like horse manure, chicken manure, anything that comes organically and naturally. In here, these are my mobile compost bins, and I do try, and things are rotting down nicely. I've got my lint in here, but not yet broken down. They haven't been that moisture. There's not enough moisture in there to make it work. Now, potato peelings, you might think these are nice and soft, but they take ages to rot down. So once again, if you can, try and chop those down even more. In this bag, actually, I've got some other organic matter, such as cabbage leaves. Look at those. They've been in there a couple of months and they're still as they were. Again, try and snap them down into smaller pieces. Do you think you're getting the message? And in here, we've got carrots. They're the same. Look at that, still chunky carrot. But over time, over about a year in the ground, it will produce beautiful, beautiful organic matter. Now, what you can do with this stuff is when you're planting direct into the ground, such as your, well, when I start putting my potatoes in, and we can dig really deep down and put a layer of this stuff below where your potatoes are, put a bit of soil on, so then over time potatoes have got something to drag their roots down into this good stuff, and they will really, really love it. Another good thing to put on again is straw. Lots of straw from the rabbit here, and what's nice about that is as well, it has some of its fur in there, and that will add another ingredient too. And there's some more even stronger stuff here, so that really will help dimensions. Keep them covered. They do need some water, and so you can initially give them a bit of a damping down, but cover them up. You can buy accelerators, about £3 or £4. You get a little box and you sprinkle them on each individual layer that you put on, and that'll just help it to even break down even more. All organic, and well, as I say, you can use almost anything as long as it's not meat based that will attract vermin to your compost heap. We've talked about debate before about sort of lint and things like that, and even out of your hoover, your vacuum cleaner, all of those bits can go into your compost. Some people say that things like this have not natural fibres, but they're so small, they're so minute that I don't think it really matters too much once it's broken down in the compost. And that does, of course, take time. But layer it up so you can put weeds in. I personally would chop off the roots and just put the leaves in and burn the roots. You don't want the roots establishing, as this plant shows, they do come back with a bit of moisture. So yes, don't put the roots on, but anything else, any cuttings you've got from your allotment that aren't going to destroy any. Well, say I'm very lucky. I've got an electronic shredder. Well, I hope this little area has demonstrated that actually your compost over time now will become rich. You'll love it. If you're digging over, by the way, and you see a few worms, pick them up, stick them on your compost heap. They'll love it. They'll really help it. Mine are open at the bottom, so that encourages the worms to come up and help eat, of course, and digest all of this lot down into usable chunks. And yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it? But whatever you like, stick it in, as long as it's not got any meats in there, as I say, to attract the rodents. I hope that's helpful. Cheers. Welcome to Inside the Greenhouse, and this week I've treated myself to a new temperature gauge and a thermometer, and this is a digital one. I do have an old one above my head here that's mercury in there, but I never know whether it's working or not, so I thought I'd invest in a new one. It's been in here about an hour now, and when it came in it said it was 62 degrees, but now it's saying the maximum is 80.6. That's Fahrenheit. Now if you work on Celsius, about 27 degrees, and so that's at the moment it says it's 78 and 25, so we'll pop that back up there. What I might do in the next week or two is move it down to the level of the plants. A very quick update while I'm inside the greenhouse with regards to my loofah plants. The other day I put my seeds into water, and here's a little picture of them in their lovely little pink cup, and they were left overnight. And well, here I put them onto white paper very briefly, and look, you can see before and after. The ones at the bottom are just the seeds, and the one above of ones that have been in water. They're slightly bigger. They've taken on the water, which I presume is the exercise, and well, they're going to be sown very shortly into lovely sandy seedling and sowing soil. It's got lots of sand in, and it's very aerated, very light, but will give them lots and lots of nutrients and moisture. So hopefully 10 to 14 days we should have some shoots coming up. If anybody that grows anything anywhere, windowsills, outside boxes, undercover, wherever you're growing, you know March, end of March into April, everything begins to shoot up, and it's just going mad here. And well, I've invested in some large recyclable pots. These are made of pressed cardboard, recycled, and they're a lot bigger than what you can have. We've got some over here. These are the ones. This is a little dry now, look, but as you can see at the bottom, they're fantastic because you get roots coming from the bottom of them, and that can be planted directly into the ground. And we also have a smaller version of that, so I've got 3 different sizes now. And the reason I went for the bigger size is because one of the reasons is my squash plants are going absolutely ballistic. They love the heat and the light. This one's shooting up. It's amazing how they grow differently though. This one is putting all its energy into its leaves, and that's fantastic. So look at that, the contrast between 2 of those, and yet they're both the same plant. I'm just looking, I think at the bottom of here, it's trying to put some roots out. So that'll be put, when it's transplanted outside, even further up there, so we can have more lovely roots coming from the bottom. And well, that's the same, of course, when you use your tomatoes. When I transplant these tomatoes here, and these are tomatoes here, I'm trying to, I can't work out what make it is, but these, when we transplant them out again, right up to the bottom leaves, and they love putting shoots out. So we'll be looking at those over the next few coming weeks. I've got, and I'm really pleased, my sweet. Look at those sweet peas. They're all coming up nicely, and these are almost ready to be put outside. But what I'll be doing over the next week or so is taking the trays out during the daytime and bringing them back at night, because it can still get very chilly at night, and we don't want to kill them off too soon. I've got lots of these, but they'll go in different places against the walls, and they'll grow up and get some lovely different smells over the next coming weeks and months over the summer. It's great, isn't it? Before I end today's show, you're probably wondering why I'm at the top of my steps onto my allotment near what is classed as a weed. Well, this is a little appeal on behalf of bees, bumblebees, any type of bee you can find, butterflies, ladybirds, all those things, because this humble plant, this beautiful bright yellow flower, is really, really important to our insects, especially bees and butterflies, because believe it or not, in there's about 100 places where the nectar can be, and the pollen, and the bees and the butterflies will come along here and feed on this particular plant. And they're really, really important. So if you've got some of these and you have to get rid of some, don't get rid of them all. Keep an area where the bumblebees and I say all the wildlife can come and enjoy the food that these provide them at this time of year. They're really important. We've had the crocuses, we've got the daffodils coming, the tulips are on their way, but these are really an early source of food, and they're very, very important. They're also important for us too. These are fully edible. We can eat these too. We can eat the leaves. We can have the roots. And the roots are really important as well for the garden. They'll only grow in a particular place that needs this plant. And once they've put the nutrients back into the soil, once they've helped the soil regenerate in a way, and these die off and they won't grow there again. The roots are important because they go really deep down into the soil and they aerate the soil. They help to break up the soil. And but as you know, they could be a pest. But what is a weed? Well, it's a flower that just grows in a place that we don't want them. They're magical things. They're used in all sorts of cookery as well, and all sorts of health benefits to parts of this plant. But once again, I plea on behalf of our wildlife. If you've got a few of these, leave them. I've got this one. This is why I'm here. This is the only one that's coming to flower. I've got lots more coming on the steps and throughout the allotment. And, well, they'll be left, to encourage the bees and all the good insects that we need to combat aphids and all those things. Let nature do its task. And, well, let these plants survive. Don't dig them up. Don't pull them up. Don't get rid of them. Leave them. Let them enjoy the sun, a little like I'm doing. So once again, thank you very much for watching Jeremy's Yorkshire Allotment Adventures, and I'll see you here on the allotment very soon. And once again, hello and welcome to all the new subscribers, and thank you for your comments over this past few weeks. I'll see you again next time here on my Yorkshire Allotment. Ta-ra for now.